All right, let's take a little bit of a break here in the Gamer Zone, and let's hop in and head over to the Titans Radio studio as Rhett Bryan wrapped up Titans Tonight with Keith Bullock just a little while ago. Him and Mike Keith and obviously Rhett Bryan as he's hanging out in the Titans studio. We normally say that he's hanging out there late at night because of the fact that it's, he's just wanting to hang out and talk to us. But this week's a little different, Rhett, because it's so weird to be sitting here talking to you on Wednesday and going, "Oh crap, it's Wednesday."
Yeah, it's and not a lot of sleep on Tuesday, and didn't come in quite as early as I normally do for a Tuesday, but because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so while I got some things done, I wasn't super productive. I was like, man, when I crashed Tuesday night, I crashed hard. But yeah, I'm sitting here going, okay, Wednesday. Yeah. Oh, there's practice. There's open locker room. There's, all these things are happening. And, yeah, rinse and repeat. The show goes on, and it does for the Titans. And I think that's a good thing for them in this case because, and I know we're going to talk about the roller coaster that was that game, but with
Oh.
the way that worked out and the way that win happened, there's a couple of excellent byproducts out of that. One, you saw Will Levis do some growth in front of everyone on the biggest stage you can have any week that isn't the Super Bowl. Tajay Spears, same thing. And the thing that is dangerous for the next opponent, as I know we're going to talk about the Texans, and for anybody else who, faces them for the rest of the season, they believe in Will Levis and they're playing for each other. That's a dangerous thing. Because think about this. They did all that without Jeffrey Simmons, without Christopher Fulton. You start thinking about how it happened. And so why not strike the iron while it's hot, as they say, and carry that momentum into this week, try to keep that same intensity that you can, and take it out on the Texans on Sunday at Nissan Stadium.
So, if you have not listened to the OTP yet, it is quite frankly one of the best OTPs that you guys have done. And for those of you that missed it, go look up OTP on wherever you get your podcasts. And they talked about the 7-hour football game between the Titans and the Dolphins in 2018. And this is honestly, you guys probably could have talked for 5 hours in it. It was that amazing. So if you haven't listened to it, go do it. Or if you haven't watched it because you guys did it in the Titans video studio. But there was one part in this that I know Mike Keith asked about when it came to, and I think Philip Noel said that it was that game against the Dolphins in 18 was, if not one of the top 5 games and most unique games he's ever broadcast and done, it was around the top 3. Then you
Yeah.
have what happened Monday night. And I ask you the same question of, all right, so Monday night, where does this one rank for you? Because you have literally been a member of Titans Radio since the very beginning.
Well, and to kind of give you a little foreground on this, what brought the conversation that we should talk about the longest game,
Mm-hmm.
because we've never publicly talked about it with all of us, even though that happened all those years ago, because we didn't want it to be some, look at us,
Mm-hmm.
self-service. It was about just how nuts it was. But what brought it to mind was how crazy the overtime loss to the Colts was the week before,
Mm-hmm.
because that's maybe one of the craziest games at Nissan Stadium in terms of it was a Murphy's Law game. Anything that could happen did. Well, you follow that up with a crazier scenario and on Monday Night Football, and so it's got to be right up there with all those the other ones that we mentioned. Just because it's just been so chaotic. These last 2 games for the Titans, bananas,
Mm-hmm.
and something happened with them. I don't know what it was. I guess they were angry about the way that went down. That they played for you know 3 hours and 34 minutes. By the way, this game Monday night was 3:28. It was a long game
Mm-hmm.
with no overtime. Um, but yeah, it's way up there. But this sparked something in them. And then just to see how it went. I mean, with 6 minutes to go in that game, Joe, you were tied with the Dolphins, the number one offense of the NFL, and you were getting the ball back. And so Eric Garrer receives the punt, muffs the punt, Dolphins ball. Next play or two, touchdown. They get the ball back. Will Levis, fumble, Dolphins ball, next play or two. There's another touchdown. 14 points in about a minute of game clock. And so here they go with 3 minutes to go. And then we saw what happened with the drives that were put together with Will Levis and Tim Kelly in that offense. And in my opinion, the brilliant decision that Mike Vrabel made to go for two after that first of the two touchdowns they needed to get back into the ball game. He spoke with us post game saying that he and John Stryker, the man he calls Stretch, his right-hand man, were discussing it at dinner Sunday night in Miami about how the analytics showed them that if you go for two in that scenario, you're more likely you have a more likely chance to win the ball game if you strategically do it at that particular point. In that scenario, it's game situational stuff. Well, that's what happens, and that's what they did. It was a great call. Nick Westbrook-Akine flanks out right. He's all alone, two. So then they're only down by 6 with I don't know, by the time they get the ball back again after the defense holds up, 2 minutes, 15 seconds, I think. And they engineer another drive and they score, and all Nick Folk needs to do is put in the extra point, and he did. So a couple things out of this game.
Yeah.
One, I don't need anybody else to tell me that Mike Vrabel needs to be fired, that he's not a good coach, he makes poor decisions, he's analog and not digital. He doesn't look at analytics. He looks at analytics all the time. He just told you that he did. He just doesn't talk about it like a lot of coaches do when they're approached about it, or openly, freely, unsolicited talks about it. If you for a minute don't think that Mike Vrabel is a really good football coach, then you didn't watch that game on Monday Night Football. And let me say this, the defense not getting enough love out of that.
No.
3 turnovers on special teams and offense gave the Dolphins 21 points. And you take away those things, that would have been a dominating performance, stifling the number 1 rated offense in the NFL. The darlings of what people love in high-powered offenses this year in the National Football League. What do they call it? The greatest show on surf, I think is what they nicknamed it earlier in the year. And the way that defense attacked the middle of the line and that center guard triangle, the middle of the pocket for Tua, it made him uncomfortable. Yeah, he got some plays off, but who would have thought that at the end of this thing, the most explosive offense, 32 points a game, over 400 yards average per game, were held less than that. The Titans actually outgained them. And the Titans had 7 explosive plays of over 20 yards or more. In fact, 7 passing plays that Will Levis had. And the Dolphins only had 3 X plays. Who would have thought it? That was not on the bingo card.
No.
And then you think about what Will Levis did to kind of will them back to victory. That is a huge, huge sign of growth. Tajay Spears, same thing. If you had any questions before, I don't think you got many now. You found your quarterback. You know how big a deal that is going into 2024, regardless of whatever happens the rest of the season. And by the way, I think the rest of the season might be very interesting now that something is ignited.
Well, and there was 2 things that I've noticed in these ball games that Lucas Panzica and I were talking about in the Titans radio studio before during the game. There was 2 things. One, I kept saying to myself, especially towards the end of the half, I said, I have full confidence in Will Levis to get the Titans into field goal range. Like I now have that confidence. We used to question it. It was something we talked about a few weeks ago about situational awareness and his ability to be able to manage the clock and do everything right. And the other thing I told him, and I'm just so curious about is it the worst thing for a team to do is actually get into the red zone against the Titans? Because the Titans you can drive on them, but the moment you cross that 20, it's like this defense just locks down.
They certainly did that Monday night. I mean, That's a trend I'd like to see continued, especially if you can get Jeffrey Simmons back in a game or two. I don't know how long that's going to be. We'll get an update as we get closer to this game Sunday. But yeah, I'd like to see that. I really would. And it was everybody. I mean, Kyle Pecco is in there making plays. He gets an injury that looks
Mm-hmm.
like that might be season ending for him. You know, they bring up Marlon Davidson, the former Auburn Tiger, former second round pick, um, into the rotation off of the practice squad. He's been there for a few weeks. You know, it's everybody giving everything. Amani Hooker made plays. Roger McCreary made plays. I don't know. I mean, it was a collaborative effort and complementary football. Um, you know, offense made mistakes and turned the ball over. Defense went and cleaned it up. Uh, that was a huge deal Monday night. And again, I think it's something that carries to this game.
Well, and
Regardless of the personnel that may or may not be there, and that's something we need to discuss because the injury list is quite long for the Houston Texans.
yes, and by the way, the Titans actually have for everybody on TV and in the gamer zone, the Titans actually have the number one red zone defense in the NFL and the number one goal to go defense in the NFL. So it's not just, it felt like that was, it felt like this defense was plays so well in the red zone, but now you go into this game on Sunday, you have a ton of momentum. And Rhett, I know, you watch all of these games and you're paying attention to everybody in division, but it almost felt like the moment Trevor Lawrence got injured, I looked at my wife and I said, the Houston Texans can win this division now. But then you saw what happened against the Jets on Sunday, and man, this team, the injuries that this team is coming into, not just the injuries, but the positions that this team is coming in with injuries in key positions.
Well, let's start with this. So you see C.J. Stroud with Robert Sala's defense with the Jets Sunday, and he takes a pretty severe lick and bounces that head off the turf. He is in concussion
Mm-hmm.
protocol. And because of everything that happened, remember what happened with the concussion protocol as it relates to Tua Tagovailoa last year? I think for that reason alone and them trying to err on the side of caution, I don't know that we see CJ Stroud
Yeah.
Sunday.
He's not playing in
Um,
the gamer zone. Like we have Davis Mills in.
yeah, and I think that's who you'll see. Um, and veteran Case Keenum is the backup to him. Um, but top receiver Nico Collins had a calf injury in the second half of that game against the Jets. He did not return. And if it's a calf strain or something like that, probably won't see him. Tank Dell, their top pick well, not top pick because they had two top picks, but their next pick, the little speedy wide receiver from Houston, fractured his leg and was put on IR the week before. So there's that. Their top linebacker, Blake Cashman, 87 tackles he's got already this year. Going to be out for at least Sunday's game and maybe a few more due to a strained hamstring. Who else do we have here?
Will
There are
Anderson.
some other ones
Will
too.
Anderson is injured.
Will Anderson, 5 quarterback sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 19 quarterback hits. Injured his ankle against the Jets, did not finish the game. He has yet to miss a game this season despite a variety of injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Was walking normally after the game. I'm reading the article from Aaron Wilson, who used to work for the Houston Chronicle. And then one of their top cornerbacks, top special teams contributor, who's a cornerback, Tavier Thomas, hamstring with him, expected to miss a few weeks. He's played 9 games, 5 starts, 51 tackles, 2 for loss, 2 forced fumbles, and he's a special teams guy. So, I mean, they've got some serious stuff in those places. Now, with that being said, the other team still gets paid to play, just like the
Yep.
Titans do. And let's just not forget what happened to the Dolphins on Monday night.
Yep.
So you got to bring that same intensity, same effort to the game on Sunday. And that's one of the main keys to this game. The other is the obvious stuff. You got to stop the self-inflicted penalties, pre-snap especially. That's been a problem all year. And you got to stop. Ball security is key. If you do those things and you play with any kind of intensity like you did on Monday night, you can beat the Texans. You can. And the most dangerous thing out of this is those guys believe Will Levis.
Mm-hmm.
If they didn't believe him before, they believe him now. And I think they believed him before. Um, the guy wants to win. He loves the game of football. Clearly, you can see that.
Yeah, you
And
can't watch him play and not know that.
and let me speak to this. People are going to learn what kind of person Will Levis is off the field. A prime example. So he's running on little or no sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And what did he do last night? Surprised some kids from the Boys and Girls Club at a shopping spree they had at J.C. Penney. Signed autographs, took pictures, did the whole deal. Didn't have to do that. Wanted to do that. That's the kind of guy he is. He has made a very profound impression upon me. In a different event I was with him at earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good human being, and guess what? He happens to be a pretty good quarterback too.
Well, and
first rookie in Monday Night Football history to pass for 300 yards. Think about it. Monday Night Football is over 50 years old.
Yes,
he's the first rookie
mm-hmm.
to pass for 300 yards. He's the first in franchise history, Oilers Titans, to have a rookie quarterback win a primetime game.
And it's you were mentioning that the event prior to it, and it doesn't matter where the event was. That event happened. It was preseason, if I remember correctly.
It was right. Actually, it was at the very start of the season.
Before
he was the starter,
right? And
it was with him and Ryan Tannehill,
yep.
as a matter of fact.
And so I remember you coming up to me and you told me, and he go, look, I just did this event, and it was Tannehill and it was Will Levis, and that was before he was a starter. That was before he was trying to get in. It was the spotlight was on him. I remember how well you talked about him at that event that you guys did, and all the things, and how impressed you were with him at week 1.
And I talked to him the next day, and he said, listen, I want to do as much of that as I possibly can. Mm-hmm. It's important to me.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I said, and I told him at that time, I said, I know you're learning how to be a pro. What you did at that event, pro stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What he did Monday night, pro stuff. And you know who was a big catalyst in that? DeAndre Hopkins.
Really?
DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
I think he loves Will Levis. And he keeps him accountable. Like that thing about them getting into it in the sidelines, last week before, whatever it was. It's because they have that kind of relationship already that they can speak freely to one another. You listen to how DeAndre Hopkins speaks about the quarterback. He knows the kid's special. And he's teaching him how to be a pro. And you know what? That's a good person to learn from. DeAndre Hopkins, pro. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And there was one of the greatest sports movies of all times is Bull Durham. And I titled 3HL yesterday with Will Levis announces his presence with authority. And it was, Newt Lelouch wanted to do that. He's like, I want to announce my presence with authority. That's kind of what Will Levis did on Monday Night Football. Is, Good Morning Football was talking all about Will Levis and how much they love him and his energy and all that. It was a national stage for him to show up. But then we just talked about the Texans' injuries, and now you look at this game on Sunday. You want to know? I mean, this is putting your balls on the table. Like, I mean, this is seriously. Yep. You are now going up against the Texans.
And you're wearing the Houston Oilers throwbacks.
There is
which
so much.
Me and the level of violence I like. I want him to wear it in Houston.
Yes.
But
there's a lot riding on this.
You don't think he's not going to be fired up coming out of that tunnel Sunday?
Oh yeah.
Now let me say this: it's clear he loves the game of football. But the going up against a big dude and trying to bury yourself to make a play, Will, I don't know if you're listening to this or not, or watching this. Please get down and slide. I don't need that. Like, I appreciate the moxie. I appreciate the fire, but I need you to tamp tamp that down just a little bit, or let's use it in a different way, vehicle wise, in your offensive attack. No one questions that you're tough, that you're big, you're physical, you're strong, you're fast, and you have a rocket arm. Not questioning that at all.
So no more angry runs.
Just right place, right time. Like Jalen Ramsey, I like that. But a D lineman, let's don't do that. Let's don't do that. And by the way, that's why people want to call him Billy Jeans, because, when you put Levis in your phone, tweet or text to somebody, it automatically autocorrects to Levi's, like Levi Strauss jeans. Mm-hmm. So thus it's Billy Jeans. I'm here to tell you right now, because of his endorsement situation with Hellman's Mayonnaise, because of all the stuff that happened in the offseason with putting mayonnaise in the coffee, whatever all that was. That's why I like to call him the Hellman's Howitzer.
Let's get to the second half of that. We're just going to finish it with that. That's it, Rhett. I appreciate it. I know you got a lot to do. I know that you've got a ton of work before Sunday. Thanks, man. I always appreciate you hopping on.
I finally broke Joe Hunk.
I just love it, because I love the coaches that are all saying, please slide. And then all the players, like Kevin Dyson yesterday, is like, dude, I loved him running them over. I love it. Like, it gets me jacked to see my quarterback playing like that. He's like, I loved it when Steve did it. Like, it was just, and so it's so funny, because yes, the right answer is to slide, but at the same time, all the players are like, oh my God, I want to see him hit somebody. I just love seeing him hit somebody. And so now I'm just like, I agree. Yes, slide. But at the same time, the energy level and what Will Levis is, yes, because we don't need him injured. Like, we just don't.
No,
like, it's
not at all.
Because
not at all.
All of this is going so well. But it was 10 minutes ago, I said, when Trevor Lawrence got injured, I seriously thought this could be the Texans' division because of Trevor Lawrence, and he's playing with a high ankle sprain. He threw 3 interceptions on Sunday. Like, there's a legit chance the Texans could take over this division, but then CJ Stroud gets injured, and now all of this is open. I mean, this whole conference division is still open.
And that's why I say the important thing about what happened Monday night in Miami Gardens, Florida, there's juice there. There's water in the bucket. There's something that people believe in that locker room. Why not make Week 18 at Nissan Stadium against the Jacksonville Jaguars, the defending AFC South Division champions? Why not make it interesting? Why not make it mean something?
Because you are seriously I personally have hated all of the we're losing and we can get the high draft pick, and if we lose tonight, we can,
Let me ask you this: would you trade that for what you saw Monday night?
Exactly. But see, and the other thing is you still have the whole division in front of you. Like, you still have 2 games against the Texans. You still have 2 games against the Jags. Like, you have the whole division in front of you.
You only have 1 against the Jags.
1 against the Jags. Sorry, not 2.
But still, you got
against
3.
The Jags. Yes.
3 out of your last 4 are division wins that count basically twice.
Yes, and you're also playing and you still have a Seahawks team that you can absolutely beat. So there is a real chance that you can win out on this thing because of what's happening if you stay healthy. You stay healthy.
That's right.
So, okay, I agree. I like the slide, but I also like the angry run. So, I mean.
Oh, listen, I love the angry run. But please pick your time and place. Please don't do that to insert name here. I mean, giant defensive line.
You don't want him doing it to Grenard?
Because Will's a big boy. He is now. He's a big dude. But there are guys that are bigger, so please be careful.
Okay, be careful. We're going to be careful when we get to the second half. I know you got a ton of Titan stuff that you still need to do before Sunday. Hey, man,
stack a win. Let's go.
We need 2 dubs in a row.
Come
2
on,
dubs.
Joe. Stack a dang win.
All right. Thanks, Rhett.